Yes, a very good afternoon. Right, so we completed with Essay 240, the auditor's responsibilities relating to fraud in an audit of financial statements. Right, so an exclusive standard only talking about the audit procedures in relation to fraud. Right, and as per Essay 240, there are two types of fraud. Fraudulent financial reporting and misappropriation of assets. Right, and then fraud risk factors is equal to events, conditions or situations which provide an incentive, pressure or which provide an opportunity to commit a fraud. And then we also said clause 10 of CARO 2016. Any fraud on or by the company by its officers or employee noticed or reported during the year. And then 143.12, duty to report the fraud to central government. And then we also said management override of controls is equal to JV testing. And then we talked about the risk assessment procedures and the responses in Essay 240. Right, risk assessment procedures, they were IIAFRF. Inquiries of management and others within the entity, inquiries of TCWG, analytical procedures, and the evaluation of the fraud risk factors. Inquiries of management, have they done the risk assessment due to fraud? What are the responses of the management to the risk assessed? What communication has the management done with TCWG regarding fraud? What communication with the employees regarding the unethical behavior of the employees? And also the communication, the inquiries with the internal auditors. Then TCWG, do they have knowledge of any fraud, and also how are they supervising the management process? Then analytical procedures, wherever it is unusual fluctuation, again it could be an RMM due to fraud, and then you need to do the evaluation of the fraud risk factors, again which have been first divided under the two types of fraud: fraudulent financial reporting and misappropriation of assets. Under fraudulent financial reporting, we said management characteristics and influence over the control environment, industry conditions, operating characteristics and financial stability. So rather the indications of going concern. Financial indications, operating indications of going concern. And then over here we said attitudes and rationalizations, pressures and incentives, and opportunities to commit a fraud. Right? Then after that, whatever risk we assess in Essay 240 is called as fraud risk. And to presume fraud risk in Essay 240, one, revenue recognition, and second, MOC, management override of controls. And then what are the responses of the auditor? More of an attitude of professional skepticism, more experienced staff, increased evaluation of accounting principles and practices, and more sensitivity to the possibility of management override of controls. Yes, it says this risk is nevertheless present in all entities. It may only vary from entity to entity. So as an auditor, we need to make inquiries of the management, inquiries of those individuals who are passing these journal entries into the system. Then test check journal entries at the end of the period as well as throughout the period. Also check the amount. The amount over here is going to be an estimate, and estimates means there could be management bias, and that we audit it in accordance with Essay 540. And then in the audit procedures, we discuss firstly, secondly, thirdly, and finally. Firstly, to check whether the financial statements are materially misstated due to fraud, and also whether the audit risk requires revision, revision of the assessment of audit risk. Second, the impact of the fraud on the financial statements and the auditor's report. Thirdly, communicate to management TCWG. And finally, this will also impact the reliability of the written representations obtained as per Essay 580. And then towards the end of the answer, you have to write 10-12. Clause 10 of CARO 2016 and section